In a spectacular and highly secure air transfer, Ridwan T is escorted to the EBI, the extra high security prison, considered the most impenetrable penitentiary fortress in the Netherlands. The authorities believed they had finally neutralized the man they designated as the country's most dangerous criminal, thus cutting him off from his vast network. This illusion of control shatters on the 6th of July 2021, when renowned investigative journalist Peter R. de Vries is coldly attacked in the heart of Amsterdam. De Vries was not just a journalist, he was the confidant and advisor to Nabil B., a key witness in the trial against Ridwan's organization. This audacious hit delivers a chilling message. Even from his ultra-secure cell, Ridwan's grip remains intact. More concerning still, the empire of the Mocro Mafia has anticipated its succession. The next generation is organizing around Ridwan's sons, Faisal and Adil. These presumptive heirs, despite their young age, have been prepared to take the reins of a sophisticated criminal organization. This delicate situation places the sons between two worlds. They must both face police investigations and meet the demands of a criminal organization that their father ruled with an iron fist. A crucial question remains. How does the organization manage to maintain its activities from prison? And more importantly, how could an escape attempt have been orchestrated? No one could have predicted that a young man of Moroccan origin would build one of Europe's most fearsome empires. Once in prison, it proved impossible to halt such a well-oiled machine, especially with an estimated fortune of 500 million euros. The family then faces a major challenge, maintaining contact despite total isolation. According to the courts, messages reveal that Faisal, Ridwan's eldest son nicknamed Genius, desperately tried to contact his father after his arrest. Faisal, who lived in Dubai, played a crucial role in the organization, so crucial that the authorities saw him as the future leader. To maintain contact with his father, Faisal and his family pressured Inez Weski, who was then Ridwan's lawyer, to relay their messages.
The lawyer was really paranoid today.
Faisal writes in a message to his aunt, Ridwan's sister, who lives in the Netherlands.
I have a special phone just for her, nothing else on it.
This special phone was none other than a PGP phone with encryption to avoid police surveillance. Weski, though in possession of such a device, was reluctant to use it. She was wary because she knew the police had already managed to read messages on these phones in other investigations. The T family thought she was overreacting and called her paranoid. Nevertheless, the family persisted in their efforts. Faisal sends a message to his aunt on 7th January 2020.
When you see the lawyer, could you ask her to turn on her phone? And also ask her what my father would like me to do. Auntie, could you ask the lawyer to visit Dad tomorrow or the day after? There are many important things to discuss.
The next day, Weski visits Ridwan in prison. Her visits become regular, and in parallel, a secret network of encrypted messages is established. However, Faisal is often disappointed as he receives little news from his father and communication is very slow.
The lawyer is behaving strangely. She hasn't sent any messages since her last visit too. Usually, she sends messages every 2 or 3 days.
Communication between Faisal and Weski proves complicated. She never responds to messages and remains silent. A few months later, Faisal confides to his aunt that Weski's behavior is incomprehensible. He also shares his difficulties with Raffaele Imperiale, an important Italian mafia boss.
Busy and paranoid. For now, impossible to communicate with her as she refuses to use encrypted phones.
On November 18th, 2020, Faisal finally receives a crucial message. He relays to Imperiale his father's directives regarding money and drugs. The instructions are detailed down to precise calculations.
Good morning, sir. How are you and your family? You must pay for the shipment.
To continue his operations, Ridwan reportedly entrusted leadership to his son Faisal, whilst keeping an eye on operations from prison. Imperial and Ridwan formed their relationship in Dubai, where they were both hiding. These drug lords became business partners. At the helm of his own organization, Imperial held a position equivalent to Ridwan's and was among the major players in the underworld. From his villa in Dubai, he orchestrated the international shipment of several tons of white powder. Even after Ridwan's arrest, the two men remained connected, particularly because Faisal had reportedly begun a relationship with Imperiale's daughter. Independent of this personal relationship, Italian justice authorities assert that Imperiale's group continues to orchestrate drug shipments to Italy from warehouses located in the Netherlands. The organization's leader demands to be informed of the smallest details. Imperiale's gang members even send photos from the Netherlands showing the cargo hiding spots. On the return journey, the trucks secretly transport millions of euros in cash to the Netherlands. According to intercepted messages between Faisal and Imperial, the authorities confirm that Faisal's team reportedly received 2.5 million euros. Communications between Imperial and Faisal went through the encrypted system Sky ECC. Blindly trusting the security of this network, they discussed their activities without restraint. A particularly revealing exchange dates back to 4 February 2021.
Hello, how are you? We will ask the other man to pay the 1 million.
Writes Imperial.
Can you send another token to pay the other 1.5 million straight away?
To secure their transactions, they used an ingenious system of tokens. Before each exchange, they shared the photo of a unique banknote serial number. Only the person in possession of this note could collect the goods or money. 4 days later, several trucks filled with cash crossed the Dutch border. Faisal reportedly wrote,
He received the first million. Thank you.
But everything stops for Imperial. The police dismantle his network in the Netherlands and arrest him in Dubai. Once extradited to Italy, he agrees to cooperate with justice in exchange for a lighter sentence. The mafia boss will testify against his former partners. Due to his high position in the underworld, his revelations are causing concern among criminals internationally. It is not yet known how his revelations will affect the T family. Let's now return to Ridwan in his prison. As communication with his son through lawyer Wesky was not as effective as hoped, the group opted for another solution: recruiting a new lawyer. To the general public, Wesky was Ridwan's main lawyer. She defended him in the Marengo trial, a complex case linked to several liquidations. This case was so important that the trial would last several years. What was little known was that Ridwan had strategically recruited 3 other lawyers who, without interfering with Wesky's work, had specific missions. In December 2020, an unexpected newcomer presented himself as a media specialist lawyer, Youssef T, Ridwan's nephew. He introduced himself to the management of the high-security prison, EBI, in Voot, declaring that his uncle Ridwan had requested his legal services. This move immediately triggered precautionary measures. An investigation was launched to temporarily suspend his access to the prison. However, the investigation concluded in March 2021 that Youssef's conduct was irreproachable. He therefore obtained access authorization and, as a lawyer, the right to communicate confidentially with Ridwan. The legislation guarantees every suspect the right to choose their lawyer. Once he obtained his access authorization, Youssef became a frequent visitor to the high-security prison. He went there with unusual frequency, nearly 100 visits at a rate of 2 per week, each lasting several hours. The meetings took place in a plain consultation room of a few square meters, where two tables were arranged side by side, separated by a glass partition. As it was a discussion between a lawyer and his client, no one had the right to listen to their conversations. What makes the situation even more remarkable is that the police had been informed for months that family members were preparing escape plans for Ridwan. In February 2021, an investigation was launched after several reports suggesting that Ridwan could communicate with the outside from prison, and vice versa. However, without solid evidence, the police could not intervene. To obtain this evidence, they would have had to listen to the conversations in the consultation room, which was strictly forbidden by law. On 23rd of July 2021, suspicions had become sufficient to establish that Youssef had been commissioned by the organization to create a secret communication channel with Ridwan. Criminal intelligence services had moreover confirmed that he continued to direct his group from his cell. The investigation accelerated following the liquidation of journalist Peter R. de Vries in the heart of Amsterdam a few weeks earlier. The authorities quickly suspected Ridwan's involvement, as Peter had become the confidant of the key witness testifying against Ridwan's organization in the Marengo trial. Although Ridwan and his criminal organization are widely considered responsible for this liquidation, no formal charges have been brought against him. Nevertheless, if Ridwan had truly organized this mission from his prison, he must have found a way to communicate with the outside. Thus, the EBI consultation room was equipped with listening devices and cameras to understand what was happening there. Initially, they communicated through handwritten messages through the glass, which they immediately erased after reading to leave no trace. The surveillance cameras recorded a sequence where Ridwan wrote a message about money, showed it to Youssef, then immediately crossed it out. For his part, Youssef transcribed these messages in his notebook and, once back home, photographed them to send them by phone to other members of the organization. On 24th September, Ridwan expressed his dissatisfaction with the notebook method.
This doesn't work at all like this. I don't understand why you still don't use an iPad. Voila, it's really exhausting and causes me a lot of stress.
Following Ridwan's complaints about the illegibility and incomplete nature of the messages in Youssef's notebook, a new method using the iPad was adopted. Youssef showed Ridwan photos of messages from the outside on his tablet screen. These messages were systematically deleted after reading. When Youssef displayed these photos, the total message count was visible, allowing Ridwan to verify that all messages from the outside were being properly transmitted to him. This control system illustrates Ridwan's mistrust, who demands total surveillance, including towards his own family. To transmit messages outside the prison, Youssef used a simple but effective method. He first photographed Ridwan's texts with his iPad. Back home, he copied them by hand and photographed his copy. He then sent these new photos to others by phone. This way, no one could prove that information was leaving the prison, as there were never direct photos of Ridwan's writings. According to criminal intelligence services, Ridwan had mobilized several tens of millions of euros to prepare his escape and had a personal commando team at his disposal. This information corresponds to the messages he exchanged with his lawyer, messages which, according to justice authorities, were essentially intended for his son Faisal, known as Genius. There were two escape plans, the first of which was named BIOS.
BOs, seriously. Tell it directly to Genius. Genius. 3. BOs must be absolutely perfect. These people expect it. If it fails, I die, or I'll never see daylight again. 3. It must be executed perfectly now. Is arriving, and they're doing works here. The operation must be as precise as a bank heist. I need a shoulder bag with the equipment and the phone. Send me the phone code separately before they arrive. Time is pressing. 4. Use a thermal drone and ground laser, block the roads, cut the electricity, and place powerful jammers near the relay antennas. 6. Watch the videos of my cell on YouTube to see what the window is like and what types of bars there are. 8. Ensure everything is perfectly organized and inform me of the moment of action and how I will be notified.
Youssef then writes,
Do you trust BIOS? Do you feel it's well organized?
in response to these two questions from Youssef, the surveillance cameras recorded Ridwan nodding affirmatively. On Youssef's iPad appears a message from the outside world, presumably from Jawad, aka Bole, another of Ridwan's nephews considered to be his right-hand man. According to justice authorities, Jawad was also involved in this discreet communication channel. His message indicated that all that remained was to take action and that he was devoted to the BIOS plan 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, the messages transmitted by Ridwan to the lawyer reveal that Jawad is slow to implement the plan.
It's been 6 months and 2 weeks already that you've been talking about it, with no results. It needs to be done Navy SEAL style. You're not taking this seriously enough. Create a fund for the lads' expenses. Give them something, but not too much. Only if it's well executed. The detailed plan with diagrams, floor plans, everything should have been ready by now. Voila. Your fine words and promises give me a bad feeling. I want to see the precise plan now. Is that clear? I've asked for the plan 1,000 times and still nothing. I need the detailed plan, otherwise get lost.
Ridwan sends other instructions to his son Faisal.
Genius. 2. The best moment is when it's raining heavily, in bad weather. 3. We need to be able to hide quickly somewhere, because they will block everything. Tell Jawad to buy 1,500 liters of oil to pour on the road so it becomes super slippery. 5. I will place the TV against the window so they can see it from outside. 6. Watch the documentary on TV. You'll be able to see my cell, the doors, etc.
As part of the escape preparations, Ridwan ordered his accomplices to watch a documentary about EBY that showed his cell. He planned to place a television against his window on the day of the escape to allow his accomplices to identify the exact location. Plan BIOS aimed to break Ridwan out of EBI, either by force or during his transfer to the Marengo trial bunker. The operation would involve heavily armed commandos of Navy SEALs caliber, seasoned professionals rather than common bandits. To counter police pursuit, the plan involved pouring 1,500 liters of oil on the roads, making them super slippery. A hideout was to be prepared so Ridwan could quickly conceal himself, anticipating that the police would lock down everything during the manhunt. The plan also included cutting communications and electricity around the prison. The team would use thermal cameras and multiple vehicles to deceive the police, thus allowing Ridwan to escape undetected. A second plan, known as Plan C, involved locating the homes of 4 important prison employees, presumably with the intention of kidnapping them.
6. These names must find where they live. This is Plan C with the code Mega Mindy. When I say this code, it's the signal to launch Plan C. Understood? These names are crucial.
Through lawyer Youssef, Faisal and his father had agreed on a password, Mega Mindy. When Ridwan would say this term, it would signal his son to trigger Plan C. In his correspondence, Ridwan had noted the initials, surnames, and first names of 4 EBI employees, each accompanied by the mention important. According to justice authorities, Faisal played a central role in developing the escape plans. He allegedly tried to recruit a former commando chief, as evidenced by a list of points discovered on lawyer Youssef's iPad and attributed to Faisal by the authorities. A message also arrived from Capo, whom justice authorities identify as the second son, Adil.
I think our position has improved compared to a few months ago. We were at a standstill for a while, but alhamdulillah, we are more active now and I hope it continues this way. The most important thing remains that BIOS is sorted and that we have a master plan. We must anticipate each step. By the way, I'm certain they will close the borders when it happens, but you must already know that. But inshallah, everything will be fine.
The rumors suggesting that both sons were being prepared by their father to take over his succession are not unfounded. Beyond matters of money and drugs, lawyer Youssef also served as an intermediary in a delicate family affair. Ridwan's sister's ex-husband, who had persistently harassed her, needed to be put in his place. Married to Ridwan's sister from 2008 to 2020, the man had been the subject of numerous reports of domestic conflicts and violence during their union. This behavior allegedly continued even after their separation. Surveillance recordings in the room between Youssef and Ridwan revealed the latter's repeated statements. The man was a coward who had crossed the line, his sister was suffering physical abuse, and he could no longer be content with mere words and patience.
Too much patience breeds suffering, you know, nephew. He's not a man. I don't understand his ingratitude anymore.
According to justice authorities, Ridwan, dissatisfied with the failed attempts to teach his ex-brother-in-law a lesson, wrote a message to his nephew Jawad.
This bastard still isn't disabled after 3 attempts. How can you be so stupid in this place? You're mad. Think beyond what's right in front of you. You've missed this bastard 3 times.
Indeed, his ex-brother-in-law was meant to receive a beating orchestrated by the Polish Christian M and his team, but their attempts repeatedly failed.
You see, this bastard is causing you problems because you're sending boys to do a man's job.
Let's go back a few weeks to understand the events. The main Polish gangster, Christian M, nicknamed El Polako, had coordinated the operation to eliminate journalist Peter R. de Vries from a distance. According to witnesses, Christian was tasked with recruiting Poles to commit violent acts on behalf of Ridwan's presumed group. He avoided getting his hands dirty directly, as the group needed him as a leader in the field. However, his authority remained well below that of Jawad, Ridwan's nephew, as their message exchanges would demonstrate. Indeed, Jawad is considered by some as a key element in Ridwan's network. The authorities attribute an even more crucial role to him, that of intermediary in liquidations. He is suspected of being involved in several serious matters: the murder of the main witness's brother, the liquidation of his lawyer, and possibly the attack on journalist Peter R. de Vries. However, investigators do not yet have enough evidence to confirm all these hypotheses. The discussion begins on September 9th, 2021, between the two men, with Jawad expressing his dissatisfaction with Christian's inefficiency in executing the mission.
So, you think we're clowns now? 2 days of lies in a row. And on the 3rd day, you don't answer all night? You think that's normal? I'm going to make you pay very, very dearly. You've been silent for too long. You're becoming a traitor, nothing more, with your excuses and nonsense.
It's not an excuse, sir.
Get lost with your rubbish words.
I'm not lying to you. I would never dare.
Actions speak louder than words. I'm giving you until midnight tonight. If this man isn't disabled, and if the job isn't done properly, I will personally hunt down your dog, your cat, and I'll make your life hell. You're going to feel it.
Which pizzeria does he work at?
Indeed, at this time, Ridwan's sister's ex-husband worked at a grill pizzeria called Andalus. However, the Polish team, led by Christian, fails once again to intercept Ridwan's sister's ex-husband. On 12 September, after spotting police nearby, they flee hastily, losing a weapon during their escape.
I don't want to disappoint you.
The action will succeed tomorrow afternoon. We're talking about 17.5K, and we've already lost a weapon and a car. They mustn't act foolishly. Neither should you.
I'm not acting foolishly.
Christian informs Jawad that they can use hammers. Their plan is to act in front of the house where the target spends his time. They would break a window to draw him outside, then 2 men would subdue him, whilst a third would strike his knees and hands with a hammer. One of them would also keep a weapon to maintain control. Unfortunately for them, their target left for Morocco the next day, causing their mission to fail once again. After a few days of silence, Jawad sends a message to Christian from a new phone.
So you think keeping silent will fix everything? You deserve nothing but the death penalty. Bullets in the head after all your mistakes.
No, sir, certainly not. I absolutely want to redeem myself, and I've never had the slightest ill thought towards you. How can I fix it?
Shut your mouth. If in 5 days you don't have teams in the Netherlands, I'll put a price on your head and on everyone dear to you, even your dog, your cat, and your bird. You'll become my next enemy.
Now we better understand why Ridwan might have been displeased with the situation regarding his ex-brother-in-law, as mentioned earlier in the exchange of messages with his lawyer Youssef. Finally, Jawad is arrested 2 weeks later in Morocco by elite units of the Moroccan police. He will be sentenced to 6 years in prison for his participation in a criminal organization. Following Jawad alias Bole's arrest, a member of the group sent a threatening message to Christian to make him resume his activities.
Listen, you idiot. Don't think you can take it easy just because is in prison.
The tone used clearly illustrates the intensity of the pressure he was under. The organization regularly discusses corruption within the Moroccan judiciary system, where Ridwan's 2 brothers are serving long sentences. According to the public prosecutor's office, the messages showed that they want to pay bribes to get the brothers released or at least improve their detention conditions.
Confirmed, giving money to the guards for the little brother.
Gives a lot of news about the brothers. The mother is really worried.
He must bribe the judges. 10 million spent and he's still not out. It's strange.
In Morocco, someone is helping to manage the situation. This person advises working with lawyers from Marrakesh rather than Casablanca. With an arrangement with the judges, the prison sentence could be reduced by half.
The judges want to work exclusively with someone from Marrakesh because they know each other. They find the Casablanca lawyers too complicated.
The mother is worried about the Casablanca lawyers, while those from Marrakesh want to create their own team.
Once this is sorted, we will dismiss the Casablanca lawyers before they make other dubious requests or further delay the case.
Youssef passes on a message from the outside about the situation of Ridwan's brothers.
They are well. They send you their greetings and all their love. They preferred not to write for fear that the letters would be intercepted.
Regarding Ridwan's sons, intercepted messages reveal that the 2 brothers systematically share information. Faisal wrote to his father about Adil, nicknamed Capo.
I told everyone that he and I were one and the same, so they must always listen to him and can discuss everything with him. I systematically share everything with Capo. I show him every conversation and explain everything I learn.
According to investigators, Faisal was destined to take the reins of the organization. However, in a message to Ridwan, Youssef expressed reservations about this decision.
Faisal is not yet ready to take on all responsibilities. BOs represents a major risk. I don't want to get involved, but the must be real Navy SEALs. Not just common robbers. Otherwise, better to be patient and maintain contact with Faisal. He still has several trials to go through, and he needs to build his confidence.
The party was short-lived. On the 8th of October 2021, authorities arrested Youssef in the consultation room during a meeting with Ridwan in prison. Shortly before his arrest, the iPad had been reset, leaving it practically empty. The investigation team was therefore unable to recover the old data. A trial awaited Youssef, during which his defense would argue that escaping Ridwan's pressure was nearly impossible given his reputation. During the hearing, he would express remorse, particularly towards his former professional association, emphasizing that he still feels shame. For his role as messenger, he would receive a 5.5 years prison sentence. It was during the investigation into Youssef that detectives made an important discovery. Ridwan was already communicating with the outside world before Youssef became his lawyer. This meant that another person must have been helping him. During the trial, Youssef's defense made this statement.
There is talk of a parallel line of communication via the other lawyer, Wesky.
Wesky strongly protested, calling these statements false and biased. The court and public prosecutor's office hastened to clarify that no conclusions could be drawn regarding her involvement. Behind the scenes, however, the police continued their investigation. A major breakthrough came in June 2022 when law enforcement accessed Faisal's PGP phone. Investigators discovered more than 8,000 messages, which, according to the public prosecutor's office, were mainly exchanged with Wesky, including the discussions mentioned earlier regarding collaboration with Raffaele Imperiale. As the police decrypted these messages, they could better understand what had happened. This explains why there is often a long delay between when a crime is committed and when suspects are arrested. The police simply didn't have access to this information before. Regarding Wesky, according to the public prosecutor's office, she had violated her duty of confidentiality by transmitting messages between the prison and the outside world, whether she acted under pressure or not. Before the court, Youssef's defense added,
It appears that she too was unable to resist the immense pressure clearly exerted by this man.
Arrested in April 2023, Inez Wesky awaits her verdict, which is expected to be delivered soon. Given the abundance of evidence, particularly the decrypted PGP messages, her chances of acquittal appear slim. Let us remember that Ridwan's arrest in Dubai, whilst being wanted worldwide, had given police authorities the firm conviction that his organization's glory years were coming to an end. But reality proved more stubborn. The spiral of violence did not weaken, culminating tragically with the attack on Peter R. de Vries. Faced with this situation, the authorities launched an unprecedented manhunt in Dutch history. A special task force was established to dismantle the grip of Dutch drug syndicates. Never has a criminal network been scrutinized as closely as Ridwan's. In vast organizational charts, the police meticulously mapped not only his associates, but also all their family ties. The investigation reached a decisive milestone thanks to two major breakthroughs: the dismantling of the Sky ECC encrypted messaging service, giving access to 80 million messages, and the strengthening of international cooperation in tracking suspects. This strategy proved successful with the arrest of several key figures, including one of the most important, Dennis G., alias Rasta, apprehended in the Dominican Republic in April 2023. It took the Dominican police more than 2 years to arrest Dennis. The intensive investigation, conducted with the support of the American Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, finally bore fruit. According to Dutch authorities, Dennis played a central role in channeling coke to the Netherlands, exploiting the Dominican Republic's strategic position between South America and Europe. Each transport involved hundreds of kilos, allowing the network to operate efficiently while staying under police radar. His wealth is reflected in his empire: luxury properties, restaurants, an impressive vehicle collection, and a network of corrupt police officers. His main residence, located in a prestigious neighborhood, neighbors not criminals but the business and political elite. Long considered elusive, the man known by the nickname Rasta appeared in several criminal cases. The most notable case dates back to 2015, when authorities intercepted shipments of white powder in Colombia, totaling more than a ton, all marked Rasta. Their destination? The Dominican Republic and Belgium. This Rasta signature was nothing new. During the investigation in the Netherlands, police discovered conversations on encrypted phones that they attribute to two childhood friends from Utrecht, Ridwan and Dennis.
Let's take some money, King. Just yesterday you said we spoke the same language. Give me hope that we'll recover something, or are you going to spill blood and burn everything again?
Yes, but these ones need to disappear quickly, Rasta. They have a lot of money, and they've put huge bounties on our heads.
Rasta wants to make profits, but everything would be compromised if a war broke out with their rivals, as it would harm their activities. The remarkable aspect of this message is the casual tone Rasta uses with Ridwan, a unique attitude, as among the thousands of messages discovered by police, no one else dares to contradict him. After his arrest, the investigation into Dennis G continues. Law enforcement conducts searches in several districts of the capital and its outskirts. The case attracts keen attention in the Dominican Republic. According to a journalist specializing in organized crime, Dennis G had allegedly invested his millions in a network of cafes and nightclubs. But the discoveries don't stop there. Investigators uncover an immense estate an hour's drive from the city. This highly secured property, which houses various exotic animal species, allegedly also belongs to Dennis G. The comparison with Colombian drug baron Pablo Escobar is striking. The arrest of Dennis G and the searches make headlines in Dominican news. During a press conference, the police proudly announced the arrest of a Mocro Mafia boss. The importance of Rasta was highlighted by his extradition to the Netherlands in May 2024. The transfer was conducted under maximum security, mobilizing more than 70 members of elite units for the escort. A military helicopter provided aerial surveillance during the transport of Dennis and his two high-risk accomplices. The authorities implemented all necessary measures to prevent any escape attempt. Arriving in the Netherlands by private plane, Dennis was tried and sentenced to 8 years in prison for his central role in international drug trafficking. Despite a long period of impunity for these criminal leaders, investigation services now want to send a clear message: no one is beyond reach. However, according to justice officials, these arrests have not yet sufficiently weakened Ridwan's influence. His sons, raised in the shadow of this empire, were prepared, according to investigators, from a very young age to perpetuate the family legacy. Attention particularly focused on Faisal, a brilliant young man educated in prestigious institutions in Dubai, where he led a princely lifestyle. Despite an overwhelming case against him, Dubai authorities long hesitated to arrest him, given his young age and clean criminal record. It was only after intense negotiations between the United States, Morocco, and the Netherlands that this presumed heir was finally arrested in July 2023. Long considered a refuge for major international criminals, Dubai is now striving to change this image. A year later, Faisal was extradited to the Netherlands and incarcerated in the EBI, the high-security prison where his father is also held. Faisal's trial continues in 2025. Long in the crosshairs of justice, he is suspected of having taken over the organization's leadership. His lawyers, however, claim that he is being prosecuted solely because of his family name. They paint a picture of a young student who became unwittingly involved in this affair, disputing his alleged leadership role. A message sent by Dennis, alias Rasta, to Faisal in June 2020 reinforces this defense, suggesting that Faisal was then merely a novice.
You've barely arrived and you haven't grown up on the streets. As soon as you can travel, I'll introduce you to people. If you're smart, you'll become wealthy the normal way, not like us.
According to the defense, the man was primarily there to learn and observe the operations, far from being his father's true successor. Following Faisal's incarceration, the burden of operations allegedly fell more heavily on his brother Adil, although his involvement in family activities remains uncertain. Adil was arrested in late 2024 in Dubai and then deported to Morocco, where he is currently believed to be based. Some believe that the hunt for the Mocro Mafia is coming to an end. However, despite his incarceration, Ridwan maintains contact with the outside world, as evidenced by the arrest in April 2025 of his third lawyer, suspected of relaying messages to members of his network. Although the threat has diminished, new leaders are emerging in the shadows, ready to seize control of the lucrative coke market in the Netherlands. As long as there is demand, this war will remain an ongoing challenge.